to this full to this. There we go. That's lovely. Good. So I'm delighted to be with you tonight, and to be talking to you all about. I've called my talk "Providing Homes to Meet Local Needs." I work with ARK Housing Consultancy, and we were commissioned in 2019 to produce a housing study for Uttlesford and Braintree. And at that point, there was a draft local plan that included a number of new communities. So it was particularly looking at that, but also looked more widely. And we submitted our final report in June last year. Some of you may have attended one of our 2 listening events in October 2019, which was with councillors and a number of people representing local organisations. And it was councillors from Essex County Council, Uttlesford and Braintree district councils. And the key messages that we heard from people were about the need to meet the needs of local people, and the cost of housing and how difficult it was for people wanting to stay in the area or young people to be able to live in Uttlesford, and also the challenges for quite a lot of people who work in Uttlesford, and that might be teachers or people working in the health service, people working in care services, or at the airport, or and its surrounds. But just the challenge, the sort of issues about people already living in Uttlesford and those who work in Uttlesford. And then there was quite a lot of conversation in both sessions about the relationship between housing, employment, community, a sense of community, the environment, and the quality of life. And really that they are all interrelated, and we need to think of them together, or the parts they each contribute to the whole. So firstly, just to sort of think a little bit about Uttlesford. Uttlesford's a large rural district with market towns and villages. There's a lot of people are employed within local communities, in schools, health and social care, all the kind of shops and other local services, and small and medium-sized employers. And then there are 2 big employment and employer areas. One of those is the biotech, Chesterford Research Park, and other aspects in the north of the district, and then employment around Stansted, either in the airport itself, or obviously it's a bit different over the last year, but broadly in the airport and the businesses around the airport. Like most of the country, Uttlesford has an ageing population, so important to think about the housing needs of older people, and also to think about the needs of young people and the struggle they may have to be able to stay in the district or live in the district because of cost. And housing in Uttlesford is expensive. It's a beautiful area, and housing is expensive. The average income in Uttlesford is above the national average. But even so, when we compare it to housing costs, 60% of residents of Uttlesford earn less than £34,000 a year, and 40% of residents earn below £25,000 a year. And in order to buy a typical 2-bedroomed new build home in Uttlesford, costing around £325,000, it needs a household income of £50,000. Plus the deposit that you'd need to be able to get a mortgage. And in order to buy a 2-bedroom shared ownership home, also you'd need to find a deposit, but smaller one, and a household income of £30,000. So you can think about if there are then young people or young families, and the costs of childcare and nurseries, or if one parent isn't working full-time. You can just see the number of people in the district for whom there will be the ability to be able to kind of buy a house or have access to rented accommodation is quite a challenge. So that means there is a significant need for affordable housing, and that's across affordable and social rented and shared ownership, and the council's policies, and I'm sure in the proposed policies which they will see emerging in the new local plan, will be a requirement for, you know, a significant level of affordable housing, and that is at the moment 40% affordable, and it will cover a range of shared ownership and affordable and social renters. From the study, we were also strongly recommending that the council, and I'd say, you know, clearly it's not the council that builds most of the houses, although it might build some, but the council and then developers and house builders, there are real opportunities to enhance the range and supply of other intermediate housing. And by that, it's something that sits between affordable and full market outright sale with market housing. So there are options in there like rent to buy. So you can be renting, and then if you're, say, somebody where you'd expect your income to increase as you get promotions, then if you're on a rent to buy product, some of your rent will go to help you save for a deposit. So that challenge of finding whatever it is, £30,000 to be able to buy a house, these products will enable you to rent and then either buy that property or take a deposit amount of money and buy somewhere. So when people don't have access to the bank of mum and dad, these kind of options are really helpful to explore the whole range of intermediate housing. And also we're recommending strengthening the market rented offer through encouraging institutional investors who are doing a build to rent. So they're a house or flat type that is designed really to be rented. So it might be family housing with smaller gardens than usual, because people might not want to look after a garden in the same way as if you're living long term somewhere. And that might be targeted at young people or people who haven't, you know, are able to afford rental, maybe don't want to buy at the moment. And there's some uncertainty then about what the future demand is, but there's a lot of thought that if there was a good private rented offer, then the demand for that would increase. And at the moment, we know a lot of people working at the airport rent in Bishop Stortford. So there's opportunity, we think, to look at increasing some of that, strengthening some of that provision in Nuttallsford. It also means, and we strongly recommend the council, but also all the partners, to have a real commitment to quality. That's about house design. We're very aware, we're all in this meeting from our own homes. So we've become very aware in this last year about the need to have space and flexible space so that we and our children can work and study from home. So space standards are really important, not just the design from outside, but also space standards. And then partly linked to climate change, partly, but also with benefits in terms of fuel poverty, the real importance of building to high energy efficiency so that properties are really well insulated and have got low carbon heating and energy use. And then, as I was saying, important to think about how the outdoor space is designed so that it helps to encourage in a new development that strengthening of community. This is a picture from Marmalade Lane, which is a co-housing scheme in Cambridge. And you can see how some of that design then encourages people to gather and meet in the street where there's kind of informal seating areas and smaller private gardens. So those things, just things to think about, maybe a bit different from what we're used to. We also strongly recommend some sort of serious engagement by developers and the council in terms of talking to local people about what do they want. So as part of our study, we didn't do that local consultation, but there will be opportunities for that through the local plan and through as housing schemes are developed to really listen to what do people want, because then it's very helpful for people bringing forward proposals to have that ability to tap into what local people want. So, but our view is really good to encourage major house builders to provide a variety of different designs and layout and to have some variety there. To think about what are the opportunities for local builders. It's often difficult to get access to land, but again, that helps to give choice to people looking to buy. opportunities to develop custom and self-build. There's a self-build register in the council, as in all councils, with quite a number of people interested in that. And again, perhaps a role for the council or another agency to help that help those people to find land and to then kind of project manage that development. And again, there was some partnerships potential there with local builders. And then also options around community-led housing and co-housing, things like community-led, community land trusts. There are 3 themes in the study, which are choice, which you'll feel is linking back to what I've been saying about innovation and variety in tenure, a proactive housing options and advice service so that people living in Uttlesford can really see that range of housing options available to everyone, reviewing the council's allocations policy and making really good use of local lettings plans. The second theme is around engagement and collaboration. And again, a bit as I've said about really engaging and working with communities and residents about what new housing they would like to see to keep communities sustainable, working with employers, so understanding the housing needs of their employees, and also working very much in partnership with promoters and applicants of major developments and housing associations. And that was the feedback we got from the major developers that we spoke to. They would really like to understand the council's priorities and to work closely with the council as they develop their proposals. The third theme is around the importance then of delivery. So it's not just a plan that sits somewhere, but actually what role can the council play in accelerating construction through the way it manages and determines planning applications, and also directly in providing a new and expanded council house programme and facilitating custom and community-led housing. And there are some clear examples and recommendations in the study, which I think has probably been published by the council, but Sarah, I'm sure, can tell us when I get to the end. And then in all of this, there's the question of the role of stakeholders and what contribution can residents, communities, developers, employers, and all of you make to the delivery of new homes. So to sum up, we are recommending it's really important to prioritise affordable housing, rented housing and shared ownership, to strengthen intermediate and private rented offers, to encourage diversity so that both gives people choice, but also will mean that through uncertain economic times, delivery is more likely to continue, and that will mean that the housing programmes are quite resilient through any ups and downs of the economy. To engage and inspire local people, to work collaboratively with major promoters, developers and local builders, and to be ambitious. So you might not always achieve everything you want, but aim for a lot. And then all areas that successfully deliver housing programmes and major housing developments have effective and good civic leadership. So there's a strong role there for local politicians to be able to, kind of provide that leadership in bringing forward housing schemes. And I'll stop sharing so that we can take questions, if that's okay.